I like to think about the future, and I like to indulge a little in some futurology from time to time. I find it actually really helpful if I'm thinking of kind of the next steps that anything should take to actually push it right out there and think well into the future. And from a futurology point of view, that means thinking about how people will be behaving, and what people will be thinking is good and bad in that kind of future. And I had a discussion the other day with a friend who was working on a piece about an organisation that needed to shift how people thought about it. And one of the ways that you can do that quickly is to say, well, let's imagine the world in 30 years' time, 2050. What does that look like? What's the impact on their business? What has changed that means that actually their business model isn't here anymore? So what kind of business do they need to become as a result? Now, that doesn't mean you have to then, your next step is create the world in which that business doesn't exist anymore, but it does give you a clue as to which direction you might need to take with it. And I think there's an interesting way of looking at this from a drawing the lines into the future to identify for ourselves what are really the important issues facing us today. So we can think of it from a kind of AI, intelligence, consciousness point of view, i.e., that we get to the singularity and that there is a consciousness about computing that is smarter than us and will want to take over from us, and all of those big threat ideas. And I think that if you really push the digital agenda, if you want to go, okay, well, what's that look like in 2050? Potentially, and I've talked about this before, we might be the last corporeal generation. Now, that's quite a scary thought. We might be the last people to have bodies, because we might upload ourselves to some kind of digital entity and go off and explore the universe, because it's the only way we might be able to do that, is to do that without our bodies. Now, if you take that view, and you might get there if you've spent an evening smoking with Elon Musk in his hot tub. If you take that view, then it does tell us something about what we ought to do now. We either go, okay, well, there's no point in worrying about these things that impact our body, i.e. the biosphere, or we just focus entirely on what might help us intellectually and spiritually on that journey. Now, that place is really, I think, it's a great thought experiment. But the reality of our lives, and if we have to believe in a reality of our lives, is about the corporeal. It is about here and now. It's why the high street, for example, is entirely flipping towards how can I serve the bodily needs of human beings. That's all it seems to be doing now. All of those things take me to this view that building in ways in which we can benefit our planet in the work that we do is the most important thing we can do for our next generation. And so that takes me back to the idea of planet experience that I've been talking about. Planet experience is a way in which you can start thinking about putting the planet on the same kind of level as you've been raising the value of the customer in your business. So your customer, you believe you have to have a great relationship with them. You have to have that great relationship by doing great things for them. That's where we get CX from. That's where increasingly EX and WX has built up to support that CX. But I think we're now at the point that we have to go, what is the way in which we can create as much benefit for the planet as we can for our customers in what we do? And if we can't do that, we're going to really lose the relationship that we have built with our customers. So, time for planet experience, time for PX. Let me know how you're tackling that. I've shared a few thoughts, a few comments, a few posts on LinkedIn. Take a look there, or on my blog at fasterfuture.blogspot.com. There's some high-level templates for how you might start thinking about it, and I want to hear from you about where you could take this.